Hey, welcome back, everybody. Took a week off. Sorry about that. Did you know that every U.S. president is related to another U.S. president since the inception of America? And they can all trace their lineage back to the last French Holy Roman Emperor named Charlemagne, which is kind of crazy. Um, the world is a stage, history is a group of lies agreed upon, his story. Um, I talked about the Jesuit order. Today, I want to talk about the biblical land of Canaan or Canaan. Um, and the people that were residing in the Lebanon, Jordan area were known as the Phoenicians, and they were known as the seafaring people. Interestingly enough, they were the first culture that cultivated purple dye from a sea urchin, and the color purple signifies royalty. And it's interesting. Keep that in mind for later on. Um, so the Phoenician seafaring people, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We still use the Phoenician alphabet, and we are under, even though we all live on land, we are under maritime admiralty law, which is very interesting. And did you know, if you read back at the end of the Bronze Age, there was a collapse all over Europe and the Mediterranean, and they all talk about pirates and seafaring people that came in and looted and ransacked and set everything on fire. So I don't know if that was the Phoenicians, but you know they disappeared from the pages of history, seemingly, because in the land of Canaan, they talked about the Israeli scouts when they were going to claim the land of milk and honey. They brought grapes out the size of their head or bigger, and they looked at these men of renown, these giants that were the Canaanites, and they were huge. So they said we were like grasshoppers to them, which is, I just think, kind of interesting because, I mean, you know, we look at just look at what the Jesuits, I talked about the Jesuits' oath and what they're capable of doing. Well, the Phoenicians, they were known child sacrifice, pagan religion. They worship Baal. And I just want to show you this real quick. Do you see the shape of the earth here on this globe? It's it's like a marble, a ball, right? And isn't it crazy that football, baseball, basketball, I'm going to a party or we're going to the ball, or ACDC sings about who's got the biggest balls, aka parties of them all. And I mean, listen, I think that with the amount of people that go missing worldwide every year, and you can look at any emergency disaster and they'll tell you, oh, so such so many people died or are missing, and maybe that I don't know. I've just heard a lot of different things about that over the years, and a million people worldwide go missing every year, and nobody knows what happened to them, and it just goes to show you that the oldest profession in the world is prostitution. I think the second one is forced indentured servitude or slavery or human trafficking is what they like to call that. Um, so, in addition to everything being, you know, related to Baal and Moloch and the owl and the Illuminati, or all the celebrities doing they're doing all the symbolism, the occult symbolism for that. I got news for you. Everything leads back. All roads lead to Rome. And what's in Rome right now? The Holy Vatican Church. And I told you the Pope does his services in a snakehead cathedral with a demon tree with Jesus crucified on it, and like it's the most. It literally, and listen, I don't want to upset all the Catholics out there, but you really got to look at what he's wearing, a a medallion, a sun god medallion with a fish hat and all this stuff. I mean, dude, it's with a scepter and all this stuff. And he's got a lot of, they talk a lot about ball in the church. We're on a spinning ball on the 33.3 degree tilt. Uh, at 666 miles per hour, we're spinning. And I don't know. Listen, I don't know anything about that. I don't want to get into that, but it it's crazy. The seafaring people who just have vanished from the pages of history. They say that Rome had 3 wars with the Carthaginians, which was a North African settlement. But the theory is the seafaring Phoenician people were the Carthaginians at the North African settlement. And if one of the greatest stories, and I don't know if it's real, but a guy named, I want to say Attila, was a Carthaginian that was captured by the Romans in one of their first or second wars. He was forced into, he had to do gladiator battles to the death. And this guy survived for like more than a decade. And then what happens? He breaks out with all his other indentured servant gladiators, and they escape to North Africa. They get all these war elephants, and they go back into Rome, and they start burning stuff down and looting. And anyways, kind of a cool story. And I just think that if we know that the what the Vatican Holy Roman Church is capable of doing with inquisitions and you know founding the Jesuits order. We read the Jesuits oath. It's pretty scary. Um, and I don't know, like look what they did to anybody in the, whether it was a Protestant, Martin Luther, or a leader that didn't agree with the Vatican. They got excommunicated. You can go. They actually wrote this stuff down, and it's kind of interesting. But I mean, think about it. All roads lead to Rome, and that's, I think, the important um, thing I'm trying to relate here. And I just think that I brought up the 3 Punic wars between the Carthaginians, the North Africans, which the Phoenicians, in my opinion, fought Rome 3 different times. And according to our history books, well, the Romans obviously won. But what if somehow, some way, through a master of whisperers, or like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, what if the Phoenicians somehow took over the Holy Roman Emperor, the Holy Roman Vatican Church? Just think about that for a second. I don't know. Like I said, this is all speculation, but it's very interesting that even to this day, we're all under maritime admiralty law, even though we live on land, and we still use the Phoenician alphabet. And if you know that these people were from the land of Canaan, and they would do some of the most vile, evil, atrocious things to human beings known to man. And then doesn't it all make kind of sense? Like a little bit? Because look at what they're capable of doing. Look at what the Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuits are willing to do. And I just personally believe that um, the walking visitor of Christ, or the Pope, I don't think the one that you see who's the Pope is like a bad guy per se, but we all know that there's a black Pope who's like the real Pope, who's like the head of the Jesuit order. And that's how it's always been done. Um, you have archdioceses, you have archbishops, you have like, and look at what we all know with the scandals that came out recently, what the Catholic Church is willing to do to kids. And they've been around, folks. They've been around since a very long time ago. Okay. So to think that that stuff stopped happening, to think that that's not still going on to this day. I think even in open now, they're not even really trying to hide it. Um, just think about it. You know, you can go look at one of the companies or two of the companies that run almost the entire economy of America is BlackRock and Blackstone, which, if you go back to pagan worship of, you know, the Roman times, they were worshiping Saturn. And, you know, I told you about the black robes of the Jesuits, and all graduates of high school and college wear the black robes. All judges wear the black robes. The Jesuits wear the black. I, they all wear the black square hat, and we know that even the ancients knew that there was a hexagon on the top of Saturn, and it's that black rock, that black cube. I mean, even the Muslim religion, they pray 5 times a day towards this black cube in Mecca, guys. I you, you can go to any major U.S. city and you'll see a black cube or a big Merrill Lynch bull, or they brought out the Arch of Baal in London and New York in the last, you know, decade. There's satanic Baphomet statues all over the country. In 1963, they took out prayer in all schools in the United States. All right, and I already told you about who runs the education curriculum. All right, they want you thinking that we live on a spinning ball. Okay, and I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. I don't know. But I just think it's very interesting that if okay, so let me stop, collaborate, and listen. Okay, the Holy Roman Emperor, right, Charlemagne, all U.S. presidents can trace. They're all related, and they all can trace their lineage back to Charlemagne, the last Holy Roman Emperor of France. Okay, now it's crazy, but France and America have a long history together. Okay, we, you know, they sold us they sold us a bunch of land, the Louisiana Purchase. They helped us fight the British. Um, they had a French Revolution, which sparked the American Revolution. They gave us the Statue of Liberty. And what is crazy is, you know, I wish I had videotapes. I'd show you this, but I went to um, the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island in 1989, and I was able to go all the way up into the Torch. They hadn't shut that down yet. And the one thing that I noticed that you can't not notice if you go there, there is a chain and shackle on the foot of Lady Liberty, even though it's a man, baby. Look at those arms. That's a man. Look at the jawline. That's a guy. It's an androgynous representation of the Colossus of Rhodes. And even one of the Rothschilds has a picture, a painting that is of Lucifer that is doing the same pose with the light. He's the light bearer. So all these things, you know, and I just remember all the copper that was in Europe and the Mediterranean came from Michigan. Okay? They did tests on it to know that it was the same stuff from the same place. And this mine was 10, 11, 12,000 years old. No joke. Go look it up if you don't believe me. They also found a Stonehenge underwater in Lake Michigan. So, you know, a lot of our history, you know, is a lie. His story changes all the time. We still use the Phoenician alphabet. Just think of the Wizard of Oz. What if the seafaring people that were still under their alphabet, we still follow their pagan practices of ritual sacrifice, hence why there's always a war or a disaster of some sacrifice of some sort. And, you know, just think, guys, you know, I told you about there's only 6 media companies that control all our information. I told you about the very, you know, the 12 or 13 bloodlines that have been running things. And I haven't gone into that in a lot of details, but the same families are still in charge since the time before Christ. They're still running the show. the Phoenicians, the land of Canaan. Um, it's crazy. I mean, all the pagan worship, the black cubes, the Saturn, the Illuminati, like all all these occult symbols, right? And don't forget, we're on a spinning ball. Okay, it's all I can tell you is, ladies and gentlemen, I personally believe that in the biblical timeline, we are in the where the millennial reign already happened, which was the Dark Ages slash Renaissance period, maybe the Byzantine Empire, um, and if they, after the 1,000 years, they have to let Satan out of the pit so he can deceive the nations again. And then Gog and Magog will encompass the camp of saints. They're numbered like the sand of the sea, which is a lot. So, and like I said, I briefly brought up the Antarctic Treaty and how 50 plus countries um, will not allow you or me or any regular citizen to go down there to check it out for ourselves. We can't go see Santa. We can't go find the elves workshop. Okay. So I just think it's kind of it's interesting, um, just to talk about my theories. And I'm sorry it took me so long to put this video out, but it's like all over the place, and I apologize. I'm going to go into detail a lot more detail in this stuff with some, better researched examples of this. But just think of it like this, you guys. All roads lead to Rome. And why is it that we're under maritime admiralty law when we all live on land? And and why is the color purple so important, for the royal families and stuff like that? I guess I don't know. I guess we'll never know. But that's why I'm wearing the purple. Oh, by the way, how about my Vikings? Yeah, I mean they're not perfect, but we're gonna go on a 2007 Eli Manning giant G-men run. Book it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. I'm out. Peace.